So just like we could solve equations that had variables on both sides, we can also solve inequalities that have variables on both sides. It's the same process, only with inequalities. Anytime you solve inequalities, you want to make sure you don't forget that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you flip the inequality. Okay, this is a rule a lot of people do forget. That's why we try to emphasize it. Okay, so first step is to cut it in half. Second step is to get rid of one of your variables. I get rid of the smaller one, all right? So 10x is smaller. I'm gonna do the opposite, which is subtracting 10x, right? So then this goes away. This is 55 plus 15x. This stays the same. So all I did was subtract, not multiply or divide. Okay, and then I need to get rid of the 55 to isolate the x, so minus 55. Okay, so these go away. This is 15x. Again, I'm still just subtracting, so I don't have to worry about switching anything. And then if I get 5 here, 9 here, and 1 here, 195. So 15x greater than or equal to 195. So again, if I finish solving, I'm dividing by 15. So divide 15 into 195. Go once. And then 3 times. So then x is greater than or equal to 13. Now, I did divide at the end, but what I divided by was not negative. It was positive 15, so this did not need to switch. So when I get ready to graph it, I'm going to circle 13. It's equal to, so I'm going to color that in. It's a closed circle. The numbers that are greater than 13 will be to the right. Okay. All right, on the second example, I'm going to start by cutting my equation in half. I need to get rid of one of these. This one's smaller, so I'm going to get rid of the negative 8.50y. I'm going to line up my decimal over here. All right, so then these will go away. This side is 20. I'm just subtracting, so I don't have to worry. 0.50, 0.50, those are going to cancel out. So this is just going to end up being 2.0. I'm just going to go ahead and change that to 2y minus 12.4. Right, now I want to go ahead and isolate the y. So again, I'm cutting it in half. I want to get rid of the 12.4 by doing the opposite. Okay, so if you need to, add the 20.0 so that you can add those. These go away. This side is 2y, 12.4, and 20. It's going to be 32.4. Okay, again, all I did was adding. I'm only worried about multiplying, dividing, so this stays the same. And then now to solve it, I want to divide by 2, divide by 2. So if I do top in, bottom out, divide it by 2, it'll go once, 6 times. Bring up your decimal, bring down your 4, 2 times. Okay, so what I end up with is 16.2 less than y. All right, which is fine, this is correct, but when I graph it, I want the y to come first. So I'm going to flip the whole thing like a pancake. Okay, not because the 2 was negative, it wasn't. I'm going to switch the whole thing around. So y goes first, 16.2 goes over here, and this switches to greater than. So when I graph it, 16.2 is between 16 and 17. So it's kind of somewhere on the number line between these. I'm just going to have to guess where it is. It's an open circle. And then numbers greater than 16.2 are going to be this direction. All right. Look at a 3. Cut it in half. Since this side only has one variable, I'm going to go ahead and move this one. So the opposite of negative 8w is adding 8w. I'm going to add 8w here. All right, so when I work this out, negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2w. I didn't multiply or divide, so I don't have to change anything. I'm going to bring down the 10. Okay, I need to get the w by itself, so I'm going to divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. These go away. This is w. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. All right, this time I did divide, and I did divide by a negative. All right, this number I was trying to get rid of was negative. So what happens when you divide by a negative? You switch the inequality. So now this is less than. So when you get ready to graph it, your circle is open because it's not equal to, and where are the numbers less than negative 5? To the left. All right, on the last one, we're going to cut this in half. And I need to get rid of one of my x's, one of my variables. So since this one's smaller, I'm going to subtract 1 3/4 x from both sides. Okay, so since I'm using fractions, I need a common denominator. So I'm going to take this over here so I have some more room to work. But 2 1/2, I'm going to go ahead and make that improper. That's 5/2x. And I need to subtract 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3, 7/4 x. So I'm subtracting these. Okay, but I need a common denominator. So this, if 4 is a multiple of 2, so I just need to change this one. So I'd multiply by 2. So this becomes 10/4 x minus 7/4 x, which would give me 3/4 x. All right, so when I subtract these, I get 3/4 x plus 7. Bring down the less than or equal to, and then 16. These go away. All right, so then if I keep solving, I'm going to isolate the x by getting rid of the plus 7. I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides. So again, I didn't multiply or divide by anything, so I don't have to worry. 16 minus 7 is 9. And now I'm ready to solve this. This means multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying by 3/4 is dividing by 3/4. So I want to divide by 3/4, right? So if I'm finished solving, sorry, I'm out of room. This is 9/1 divided by 3/4. So how do you divide fractions? You keep, change, flip. So if I go ahead and rewrite this on this side, I'm going to get x. What I divided by was positive. This number I was trying to get rid of was positive, so I don't need to switch anything, so this is going to stay less than or equal to. Now I'm working with this. I'm going to keep the 9/1, change to multiply, and flip to the reciprocal. All right, if you want to simplify before you multiply, look at 9 and 3. These are both divisible by 3. All right, and then I'm going to multiply top times the top, bottom times the bottom. So this becomes 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. Or x is less than or equal to 12. Okay, again, the number I was multiplying by was positive, not negative, so nothing switched. So when I graph this, I'm going to put a closed circle because it's equal to, and then the numbers less than 12 are to the left. All right, so that is solving inequalities that have variables on both sides. Very similar to equations. Main difference is that you're watching for that negative. And anytime you multiply or divide, okay, by the number you're trying to get rid of, right? So not just because the answer is negative, but the number you're trying to get rid of, if that's negative and you multiply or divide, then you flip the inequality, okay? The only other time you're going to see any flipping going on is when y is on, or the variable is on the right side and you need to graph it, so you want to switch it to the left side. Okay? All right, see you soon.